I'm going to be reviewing this new album by Clipping, but I don't like the title. Skye's channel is dead. Like, listen, I've had a weird week. I've had a rough week. Normally on spring break, I'm able to do like 4 or 5 videos. I've done one, and then I had a colonoscopy. I've made some appearances. I've had ups. I've had downs. Oh, it's dead channel Skye. Okay, so that's my one joke. I get one bad joke a video, and I spent it on that one. Not wise. I'm just calling all cyber rat race escape artists to the clearing. Hear ye how the synth wind whispers. I gotta say, I really enjoy this album. And it's funny because every once in a while people will, comment, Skye, how come you've never covered Clipping? I think you'd really like them. To which I respond, I've covered them twice. I've done 2 Clipping albums, but I did their old version. Or, they're still the same guys, still the same people making this great music. David Diggs as the rapper up front. The other 2 guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to probably call them the other 2 guys, or 3 guys. However many other guys there are, I apologize. I used to be a drummer in a band. I know what it's like, but that's just what it is. That their last 2 albums that I reviewed were all horrorcore. And I just gotta say, horrorcore, it's not my thing. I'm not saying I hate it. There's some things I like about it, but it's not my thing. I bought the I bought the Gravediggers album the day it came out because I love the RZA so much, and I was like, did there have to be so much blood, and the D12 stuff? You just keep all that. I'm not into Eminem whenever he talks about any of that kind of like super gory kill stuff. I do like Ghetto Boys a fair amount, but just in general, just like that's not my thing. So the good thing is this album is all about cyberpunk, which is not my thing. But it's not my thing in a very similar way, where I have a lot of respect for it. I don't hate it. A lot of my friends like it. A lot of my family likes it, but it's like just not quite my thing. Listen, I'm a child of the 90s, the golden era of cyberpunk. And I remember, just like you do, that great Keanu Reeves movie, the great, like the cyberpunk movie by Keanu Reeves that changed everything? Johnny Mnemonic? Yeah, I saw that movie. Did you ever see that? You might say you like Cyberpunk, but you probably never seen Johnny Mnemonic. But listen, the classics, I could even do without the classics. Akira is like fine to me, or Blade Runner. It's time. It's time. Right now, March 20th, 2025, I've spent my whole life pretending like I love Blade Runner because I'm a nerd, and you'd expect me because I love Alien, I love Ridley Scott, I like that weird movie with Matthew Broderick and the terrible soundtrack. You'd think I love Blade Runner because I'm supposed to like the John Alvin poster. I know so much about that movie, Rutger Hauer, all that. But I don't know. The same way that I am with horrorcore, just like I get it, like the blood and the gore and I'm like, oh, is it raining? Is it raining in the city, and there's neon and there's like cybernetic implants and stuff? It just doesn't really connect with me. That's not to say there isn't anything I love about it. Like I really like the book Snow Crash. So like, hey. Snow Crash. This is as cyberpunk as it gets, and I really enjoy the book. I think it's a great book, and it's a good cyberpunk book. But I think what makes this so great for me, this album so great for me, is that it's never like just one thing. If there's one thing that Clipping was able to do with their other 2 albums as well, is be 2 things at once. Real double entendres, real double meaning stuff. That is stylistic as well. Stylistically, they are often in this big 90s techno feel, like Prodigy or Chemical Brothers, just the kind of like head nodding, head breaking techno stuff that just makes you go nuts. That kind of stuff that I just love. I miss that big beat stuff. Even when it would get aggravating or kind of punky, I really miss it. It does a ton of that super maximalist, skitchy, scotchy sounds, while also at times being almost old school, like just kind of a simple like drum beat, like a simple drum machine with a rapper. It kind of goes between those 2 things. It's always kind of 2 things at once. The music is always those 2 things at once. And that's the same thing with the thematics of the album. It is always about cyberpunk themes, but it's also infused with street stories and stories of the American inner city and the Black American experience, in particular, the injustices of the drug trade and the war on drugs. And the similarity between them, and I've been working on this. I actually, ironically, did this video once, but I forgot to hit record. That's how good I am at technology, okay? I'm a real technology guy, okay? Like, there's there's always this theme of the technology, but then mixed in is this theme of the streets and in particular of drugs. And I think it creates a very powerful similarity where we have a dystopian world in which the people at the top are the people who own the product that is sold, and the people at the bottom are the people who buy that product. That product can either be crack cocaine, heroin, or it can be Google, technology, whatever it is. The same kind of dystopian fear we have of just being mindless consumers, constantly filtering money up to Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg, is the same way that we, as consumers of drugs or alcohol or whatever, end up pushing that up to the front. So this album is very intelligent, very fun and interesting, and constantly having that. I mean, you have the example of a song like Talk Code, which is like talking the code of the streets. That's a specific way of American urban slang, but then also like different kinds of code. Like R, that's a code. Python, my wife used to be a computer scientist of sorts. What's the other one? Java? Logo? I did Logo in elementary school. So all those things are happening. Plus, Daveed Diggs is a great rapper, super technically proficient, while at the same time, having soul. But he has these kind of what I call filters of other rappers, where he gives you little clues or like just stylistic moves or little song quotes that make you think of another rapper. So I'm going to give you a list of the rappers who he references that I hear. I'm sure there's probably more. Chuck D, Aesop Rock, Andre 3000, Snoop Dogg, and Andy Samberg. 5 of the best rappers in history. I do want to take one more second to talk about their name, because even though their name is way before this album, the double happening is here in this name as well, where you have clipping, which means like a speaker, if it goes too loud, it'll actually clip and like break. Like that actually happened to the speakers back there. I had to go get them fixed because my family had never heard Black Sunday by Cypress Hill. And I thought, well, I'm not going out like that. I ain't going out like that. I ain't going out. I thought my family had to hear that song, and they had to hear it so loud that it scared the dogs. And so I turned it on and the speaker's like, and that was it. I had to go see the doctor. I had to go take him in. I had to go take him in to the speaker doctor. And then beyond that, it's also like street slang for killing. Like you had to clip somebody. So I really enjoy that. And then on a personal level, the word clipping is what I use to envision how I think of death, which goes into the whole horrorcore aspect of them. That when I think about death enough, there's a certain part where like my brain just breaks and it's like the speaker's clipping. It's this point where I go, I will no longer exist and I will not know that I don't exist. It will be like it was before I existed. Just, I ain't going out like just like that. It just completely breaks. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor. I used to call this channel Skye Sweaty Record Review. My brother helped me to change that. That same brother of mine, do you ever have a brother? You ever have a friend or like a brother or family member who you really want to get them into some music and you know they'd love it? This album, it's like it's made for my brother, okay? He's the one who got me into rap music, so he loved the rapping. He's the guy who got me into techno music, so he loved the techno. He still listens to techno all the time. Plus, the dude's read like every single William Gibson book there's ever been. He would be all over this album. Anyways, I'm actually having lunch with him tomorrow for the first time in a long time. So that's going to be another big upswing in this very weird up and down week. So let's go through the album. Let's start off right here. with the opening track intro, right there. You see, this is my avant-garde-ometer for rap beats. This is how I sort of determine how rap beats can be challenging and to the point of basically unlistenability. And most of this album stays right around here in the whoa what, but it starts right off, right on the line with this freak out song, with this loud squealing song. The sound that it uses is the sound, okay, I'm getting into it because it used to, okay, there is a nostalgia for the future visions of the past, right? I believe the term is retrofuturism, okay? So like, you know how people envisioned the future in the 50s and like that's not how the future ended up, and you can still indicate a kind of science fiction-y future vision if you imagine like what people thought all the flying cars and all the jets and stuff would be in the future. So retrofuturism is fascinating. And I think this album is intentionally in the retrofuturism of the 90s, okay? But I think probably the album it reminds me most of is maybe one of my top 3 favorite David Bowie albums. Okay, top 5. David Bowie has a lot of great albums, but the album Outside, this is actually a cyberpunk album, but from the 90s, and it's a lot of techno sounds and it's a lot of the same soundscape. And cyberpunk itself is constantly retro because if you go back to, Blade Runner as an example, that has that noirish feel and is trying to bring you back to the 50s. There's something retro-futurist about Blade Runner as well. So I say all of that to set up this introductory sound, because the introductory sound on the whole album is the sound of a modem. When you talk to people my age, older, a little bit younger, they will wax poetic about what technology was like before it was like it is right now. The same thing will happen to you if you're young. You'll just end up doing it. I remember when I had AOL on my computer and there was a button that said Internet. And it was grayed out. You couldn't click on it. There's nothing you could do to click on AOL to get into the internet. So instead I had to go onto the message boards, the bulletin boards, and that was how I figured out all of the fatalities in Mortal Kombat 3. True story, okay? But there's a button that said internet, and it didn't work. So you'd connect. And anytime you'd connect back in those old days, it was with a modem and it made this famous sound. And talk about retrofuturism, like what the hell was going on with that sound? Like we knew that we were entering the future, yet we heard the most bizarre, grating, aggravating sound you've ever heard. And then that meant that you were, sorry, who's that guy from Men in Black? I almost turned into that guy. You know the guy. Tell me in the comments, what actor is it? What is the guy from Men in Black? I almost turned into him. And it was like, I used to listen to Ministry. Again, same brother got me into Ministry. Man, he was based back in the day. And he got me like into Ministry. And Ministry was this like industrial, super hardcore band. And this has that kind of like, the modem sound was like Ministry. And this does what so many other people have tried to do and make that headache-inducing technological sound the basis of the song. And that will become a leitmotif of the album is this modem sound, which is what makes it retrofuturist. Because when books like Snow Crash were being written, it was still when the future of technology was not quite there and how we were imagining avatars, virtual reality, Lawnmower Man. I've seen Lawnmower Man probably 10 times, starring Jeff Fahey. Good Lord, that movie's bad. Why did I watch I know why I watched that movie so many times, but wow. Anyways, is Lawnmower Man cyberpunk? Tell me. So, it's interesting because it starts off with kind of an old man yelling at cloud style verses, like talking about technologies that don't really happen anymore, like when it's spinning on a disc, chord is dissonant, skipping bits, just like the idea of, in my day, we had discs and chords. In your day, you have Discord. But still, net is like a street that's still a trap, going always, constantly with this similarity between consuming technology and consuming crack or consuming addictive drugs, okay? Because a trap house is obviously a crack house and a net is like a street that's still a trap. Always working on these two different levels. Once that song's over and you've taken a few Advil, go on to the next song, Dominator. Just God, I gotta get my brother to listen to this album. I'm gonna see him tomorrow. We're going to this restaurant. It's really not that good, but it's very cozy. It's like a warming restaurant, you know. So I'll probably order pancakes, even though I make better pancakes like in my sleep. Uh, but anyways, this like '90s techno, just do 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 do, you know, just the old days of super hard techno. I listen to this album a lot with my 2-year-old. I have a 2-year-old right now, and a 6-month-old, a 17-month-old in the house, 19-year-old out of the house. Big family, and the 2-year-old just says, I like this song. It's like, I like it too. I'm the one and only. This is a sample from some Dutch song from like 1990. Really brings you back to that time. And David Diggs is able to rap without these drums, just the synths, and the sample just keeps on coming in. And this is his first sort of quote. He says, once again back, it's the incredible. Imitating the opening lines of Bring the Noise by Public Enemy. Let's see how much I can remember. Once again, back it's the incredible Rhyme Animal D. Public Enemy #1. 5-0 said freeze, and I got numb. Did I get it? Tell me in the comments. I think I did. I think he's cueing you in to Public Enemy. And also, I've been saying this a lot lately because I've been talking about Playboi Carti, and I compared Playboi Carti to Chuck D, and everyone got mad at me. And then I compared Playboi Carti to Andre 3000, and everybody got really mad at me. It's okay. And watch my videos if you haven't seen them. I have good points. I have to be shocking to get people's attention. But the thing was, the reason I compared him to Chuck D is that Chuck D, his goal and the goal of the Bomb Squad with whom he worked and made the music for Public Enemy was to destroy music. That was why their music was so aggressive. So it's doing this awesome thing where by quoting Public Enemy in this song, you're reminded that like Public Enemy was trying to destroy music, and so were the techno artists, you know, so were Prodigy, so were these other, you know, like these like everyone was like using technology to try to kill music together in this great, huge explosion of creativity, and here Clipping is calling back to that moment. And the drums come in only with a minute left, and you're just like clapping on at the end, and it's all this kind of goofy cyberpunk stuff that frankly sounds better if you pretend like you're high. Consciousness is a memory stick, man, and that means you can plug it in and feel what they believe. I'm sorry, David Diggs. These are good lyrics. You don't deserve this. I'm just having a weird week, everybody. But, you know, it's all these kinds of themes of where do humans begin and where do machines, and that kind of question. So you know how I said cyberpunk isn't my thing? It's kind of a stupid position to have because our world is becoming cyberpunk, because so much of cyberpunk is about like the relationship between humanity and technology, and how do you maintain your autonomy and your humanity in an ever increasingly technologically dominated world. Have you ever wondered that when you check your phone at 4 a.m. in the morning? Right? Like it's not like technology bad. It's more like creating. It really does remind me a lot of Outside by David Bowie. If you've never heard Outside by David Bowie, please listen to Outside by David Bowie. In the way that it's sort of like a clear theme, but it's more like sketches of these ideas. Then we get to the next song, Change the Channel. And this was funny because, you know, I was there with my 2-year-old. I was making her parfait, as I do. Whole milk, Greek yogurt, no sugar, muesli, and some blueberries. And she just looks up at me and says, "This is Loudy." I was like, yeah, this is Loudy, because it's just a Prodigy song. It's just aggressive. It's a lot like that song, Breathe With Me. I almost knocked off my clipping. Just this big bass and just this ridiculously fast rapping that's just really funny, because then like it's all this fast rapping and then it gets cut off with him just, you know, I'll be like, accountable for the best and worst of fellow men. Gentlemen, did you remember then to pull the yellow wire? Ah, fuck. It's really funny the way he builds up the super technical, fast Micro Machine style rapping and then undercuts it with, fuck. It's very funny. SOS update the OS. He is DOA. Everything is very important. Then we get to Run It, which is that great song where now we're talking really into the crack aspect, okay? The opening here says, get to work and put it in the pot. That's how people talk about cooking crack when they're talking about being on the stove. If you haven't watched any of my reviews of any crack rap, that's how they say it. Mix the motherfucker till it rot, run it till it fit into the needle, then you stick it into the middle of the hood and watch them run it. So this is the idea, and we're getting there, everybody, because the whole thing is that this exploitation of people by corporations or by drug dealers is supported by all the systemic power, including the government. And he's going to explain that in the last song. So we're going to get there. You just hang out, all right? If you don't know, you'll know soon. And then there's just this moment with the drum machine by itself. This is that back and forth this album has of like super maximal loudy stuff and then just a drum machine. Skin is itching, you sit and bitch in the backseat to the switch flip, you spit and spit on the concrete. Yeah. The modem sound, the leitmotif, the entire album. And then at a certain point, it just reminds me of my favorite electronica song of all time. The pump panel remix of the song Confusion by New Order from the Blade soundtrack. My brother, the same brother who I'm going to see tomorrow for lunch, he gave me that as an MP3. Back in the day, we didn't have streaming, so we just like traded each other's MP3s. We'd plug into each other's computers. I'm doing that old thing again. I'm doing the old man thing again, but it's true. He would have a whole bunch of awesome songs on his computer, so I'd plug in my iPod and I'd take those songs, okay? Including the Dora the Explorer album for his daughter. So it'd be like some like sick techno and some awesome old school rap music. And I'd be like, I'm the map, 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 I'm the map. I'm the map. I don't do commercials, so you just had to sit through that. I do a commercial. Get your colonoscopies, y'all. It's a good thing to do. I came out clean. It's good. Good. So anyways, the Pump Panel Confusion remix from Blade. I'm singing a lot today. It has that kind of feeling, my favorite 90s feeling, and more cyberpunk horrorcore mixture. Something inside your head, rusting and running red. Killer stutter step. Man, these producers are so good. I should really know their names, but I'm such a jerk for not knowing them. I just know the guy, who's the famous actor. I just know the famous actor from the show, from the thing that he's most famous for, Kimmy Schmidt. And then we get to Go. It's like there was a movie called Go in the 90s. That's what the 90s were about, man. Just go. Full feedback sounds, headache and cool, and then just run it. And it's crazy because the last song was called Run It. So this is like Run It Part 2. And this is the first time that they do that. They connect the songs together. And this is that basic idea of like running it. Like in the previous song is about like running crack or running drugs into the system as a sort of metaphor also for how technology is run into our systems and how we just adopt all of these technologies and insidiously let them all over them. We just insidiously let them into our lives. And then all of a sudden we have a thermostat capable of communicating when we're naked. I wonder if he's not trying to kind of get into a Run the Jewels Killer Mike kind of style here. I don't know, but there's these awesome cyber sounds, this chonk, chonk, chonk that I just really love. Talking about pinwheels feelings aren't always sinking, spinning through the mainframe. It's a giant brain, lose yours, everything is okay move. Tying in again with these kind of themes, like when you say like to use drugs, like lose your brain, man. But then also, what are we doing with these things? What are we doing with technology? It used to be, oh my God, I'm doing it again. It used to be Pepperidge Farm remembers. Pepperidge Farm remembers when you didn't know something, you had to remember it. You just couldn't look it up. Okay? So, if I'm trying to remember who won the 1991 World Series, and I go, was it the Cincinnati Reds? I know they won in that period of time. I think they won in 91, and then the Blue Jays won 92 and 93. But I don't know. And it used to be, you just have that, you just be like, I don't know. And that was it. What could you do? Nothing. Just, I don't know. And that made your brain bigger because you relied less on a computer. We're already cybernetic, We've already outsourced. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. So Marshall McLuhan, oh, God. Okay, Marshall McLuhan would write about the extensions of man, that like a tool is an extension of our hand, And he sort of wrote before the computer technology really took over, but one could say that the computer is the extension of our brain, and at a certain point it's taking over. I gotta stop. This is weird. My dad went through a McLuhan phase, so that's why it's weird. I can't even say it. He's a great thinker, but I can't even say his name without getting traumatic flashbacks. And then it has like the Tron Legacy winding up. Hey, is Tron Cyberpunk? Not really. I love Tron Legacy though. One of the best movies of this century. Certainly in terms of IP movies. It's great. The kind of like winding up sound, it's great. Then we get a break. Simple Degradation with Betoanic, Plucks 1 to 13. It sounds like electronic spiders from that movie Runaway with Tom Selleck. I swear to God, I cannot wait to see my brother tomorrow. I don't think I talk about my brothers a lot, but I don't talk about this brother that much. And we used to watch the movie Runaway with Tom Selleck all the time, because it had these cool little spiders. I don't remember anything else about the movie, but it had these electronic spiders. Oh, that's kind of cyberpunk. And then we get to the song Code, which has this. So this is the aspect of like, I'm tempted, like, I feel weird calling things Afrofuturist just because one of the people who's making it is black. Like, that seems like it can be reductive. So I know this is retrofuturist, and I know it's cyberpunk, but it's quoting this thing, Last Angel of History, which is like a pseudo documentary from '96 from the Black Audio Film Collective. This is all from Genius. I found this here that like uses. I'm just going to quote it here. Deals with the concepts of Afrofuturism as a metaphor for the displacement of black culture and roots. The film is a hybrid documentary and fictional narrative. So that does go and maybe does the same basic idea, that when we're talking about the destruction, because the war on drugs and how the government let the drugs come into places of economic impoverishment, largely in most black centers of most cities, in most of the country, were flooded with this new cheap form of cocaine. This is talking about that, but putting it in a cyberpunk way, right? Fresh new skin for the avatar, just plugged in on the boulevard. It's just code, know your ones and O's. You can flip language. It's all the same mouthpiece, the foundation of the game. Talk code to them. And then this has got that full Snoop Doggy Dogg chorus, like the way he's singing. He's just like full on. He even says ooh-wee, which is how Snoop Dogg talks. Snoop Dogg talks a lot of different ways these days. Dodger, more kind of cyber sounds, jungle drums. This is where I think he's trying to sound like, I think this is an Andre 3000 reference, because it starts right off with Scamming International. And I think we're supposed to be in the mindset of B.O.B. I did a video this week about how B.O.B. doesn't stand for Bombs Over Baghdad. It stands for Bob, as in Bob Dylan, because it's actually a reinterpretation of Subterranean Homesick Blues. But I recorded it when I had been fasting and only eaten Jell-O for 24 hours, and I think I lost my mind. So I'm not, that video is private. You have to be on my Patreon to see that video. It's a good video, but I'm crazy. So like when he says Scamming International, at least I hear, with fast rapping in this style, in Slum National, which is how he starts off Bombs Over Baghdad. So I think that's it, super fast rapping. He's playing to see another unexplainable anomaly. If money is unavailable, inevitably anything, depending on the stable internet's going to crash. Debatable what happens after that. Doesn't really matter. Actually, I knows that it's bad. Just these great rhythms, and this second verse, everything goes phasing in, these crazy technical rapping. And then there's this like ethereal floating moment with these overtone sounds that are just like, sometimes when you review music, like I do, as my hobby that I picked up in the lobby, it hurts me that I won't listen to this album like 50 times in the next month, because I bet if I did, this bit right here, this other little bit, would be my favorite part of the whole album. If you're that person who listens to this album 50 times, you tell me. Next song is called Malleus with Nels Klein. Jungle drums all the way in the back. Cool forwards, backwards guitar sounds, and Scams featuring Tia No More. Glitchy sound. These are my notes. Is my shit broken? That's how I felt listening to this. I thought maybe my Bluetooth speaker was broken, but that's just the sound. Then we get this like minimalist old school drum machine, just and all these themes about buying stuff and consumerism, which I think ties really well into all these themes that we have, the kind of conspicuous consumerism that we have going on in our old society, and how the 1% are just trying to find ways to spend money. Like we had this whole thing where we have people who are so rich that they don't know how to spend money, so they just hope that a watch costs $20,000 so that they can buy that. And they really want to do that instead of paying that $20,000 in taxes, so that the kids can have an after school program. So we got that going for us, which is not nice, Bill Murray. Next song, Keep Pushing. Oh, and also the first guest. I really like the female rapper. Very good back and forth between them. Keep Pushing. Super hard synths with a simple drum beat. This is it. This is the kind of stuff you want. This is the kind of stuff you want. And then there's a little like Bill Withers style chorus. And everywhere you go, just keep on pushing dope. However hard it's been, get up and push again. I think this is the grind set that we are all encouraged to have, and that if we have difficulty, the key is to just keep selling. And again, the people who are selling the drugs are not the people who are making the money off the drugs. Not really, And these drums get super complicated without the synthesizers, and this whole line, living at the end of the sentence, you run on with the commas they won't even mention. The Poe looking for quotes, semi and intervention, then split the cone and keep the cola rolling, perfection, break the law, we got to work to stretch that. All these kind of nice linguistic grammatical things here. And then for like 1/2 a second, there's a Phil Collins drum solo. Just that. From Bright Body's interlude, headache. Hey, I like Cyberpunk. Let's take the word cyber back from truck. Mood organ, fully glitched out beat, hardly even holds together, just gets more and more aggressive. Again, they're doing some really interesting stuff over here. And this, according to Genius, so my whole life I've been lying to everybody. Do you like Blade Runner? Oh yeah. Oh. Are you kidding me? Rutger Hauer, Sean Young, John Alvin did the poster. Based on the book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. I knew all that stuff. Like, that's just stuff I've known my whole life, Props to John Alvin. Great poster maker. Did I already say all that in this video? The old version. I'm having a weird week, y'all. Keep rolling with me. How long are we in here? 32 minutes? You're clipping fans. You can handle this. So the opening passage talks about mood organs of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. And then goes the super ultra glitchy style. Don't let him die, don't let him die, don't let him die. Oh, he dead. Then we get to the song Polaroids, and I don't like this song. I'm sorry. It's just the song I don't like. So I'm going to skip it. It's not that I hate it. I just don't want to talk about it. All right? Tell me I'm wrong in the comments if you want. Simple degradation, coming back. I believe I said degradation. It's okay. Next song, Madcap, almost a poppy song. Like, tell your boy what's good. Like, repeating over and over again, tell your boy what's good. Has this kind of nice, and then this hissy distortion comes in. We have the introduction of the theme of mirror shades, which is a huge part of cyberpunk technology, cyberpunk aesthetic. That people wear sunglasses that have mirrors on them. And, the whole idea is like you look out and you can see, but they can't see you. They just see a reflection of themselves. All right? That's what the mirror shade is all about. It's like a big deal. And it communicates that kind of edgelordy feeling. Like the Matrixy. Matrix, that's another movie with Keanu Reeves. A cyberpunk movie with Keanu Reeves. Man, has Keanu Reeves done anything else cyberpunky? And like that aesthetic, it's sort of like how steampunk always has like pocket watches. Like mirror shades are really important. And then we get to this full Radiohead, Aphex Twin freak out ending, leading to the next song, Mirror Shades Part 2. Where was Part 1? It was the last song. The same way that Run It and Go are connected, Mirror Shades and Madcap are connected. The Mirror Shades, this beat is just this. I don't know which of the dudes who's in this band did it, but whoever made this, it has that feeling like Fragments of Time. Remember the chorus in Fragments of Time? How everything feels all cut up and messed up, and like somehow piecing it together. It does that crazy art of noise, just madness cutting it up. Just all these great sounds. Unbelievable. Hard to describe. And this is where I think he's trying to sound like Andy Samberg. Now, listen, I know Andy Samberg is a comedian from Lonely Island, but just dancing. Remember Jizz in My Pants? Dancing at a nightclub, hoping the DJ won't stop. Hands can touch somebody sexy. You're not sexy if you don't walk in with your mirror shades. Like, it feels like it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but I really enjoy it. And you called more modem feedback again, then Welcome Home Warrior featuring Aesop Rock, and I think he's trying to rap like Aesop Rock on here. I think that's the closest analog to him. Analog, get it? Digital analog. I used my joke in the beginning, and just these opening lyrics calling all cyber rat escape artists to the clearing. And then it's cool because it gets kind of Baroque. The music gets kind of Baroque with the chorus, and it says, listen to your arteries, don't the chambers echo out in the song. And it's like chamber music, like kind of Baroque. Feels kind of cool. Aesop's verse is great, as always. That same brother, I've been trying to get into Aesop Rock because I know he'll love him. But then I bought him Garbology on CD because the Record Archive didn't have the Field Spirit Guide. So Garbology is good, but that wasn't what was going to get him into it. I had my shot, you know? I had my shot. And apparently the whole song makes sense. It's all about like the way that, God damn, I love this. Video games, it's sort of about Gamergate, now that I think about it. Video games teach mainly men and boys to have a view of themselves that is inflated through what they buy and how they present themselves in a mythical world. So the song, the chorus is, welcome home, warrior, everyone is proud of you, because that's the feeling. You know, you might be like me. You know, you might be like me, total loser, you know, playing Ocarina of Time, all right? That same brother lent me Ocarina of Time, all right? And I didn't have a job, I think I was in between. I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. Maybe I did, but I didn't have a job. I felt like a loser. But I beat Ocarina of Time, you know? And that was like the best thing I did that year. That's not true. I didn't get every single Poe. And then my brother asked me for the game back, and he sold it to GameStop. So I know I can still play it, but anyways, that's my first playthrough. But you know, the feeling, and it talks about the way that like that desire to dominate, which has been a theme throughout the album, this sort of dream of the avatar that can be dominant, that can make you the hero protagonist, that can make you the Ready Player One, that can make you the guy. I didn't think I was going to say that, but I said it. Ernest Cline, is that guy's name? I like that book. I liked parts of that movie, for that matter. Goodbye, subscribers. You know, like the ego trip and the feeling that you get. What I love is how much they emphasize that it's like these are just skins that you can buy. You know, your expertise. You're an artiste. You do a piece of music that you should select. Like how limited you are, how you can just select what they give you. And then we get to and it ends with cyber crickets. Can't unhear it now. Then we get to the song Ask What Happened, just really fast rapping that basically becomes a rhythm. It's all about the technocracy and how to fight it. Talks about freaking phones and Captain Crunch and a whistle. If you don't know the story, it used to be if you blew a certain... It used to be. In my day, it used to be that it cost money every time you used a phone, especially if you called long distance. They would charge you like $1 an hour sometimes. Like, depending on how far away you called. It's a different time. So there were ways of what was called freaking phones. And one of the things was a whistle that came in Captain Crunch. You, like, the cereal, Captain Crunch, like CC Sabathia, like Captain Crunch, okay? Fighting his eternal battle against Jean Lafoot, okay? Crunch Berries, okay, that Captain Crunch, they sold you a whistle, and if you blew that whistle into a payphone, you could use it for free, or pay it in your phone. You could do long distance phone for free. And it's like the first hack, and it's all about like hackers. There's another 90s movie I saw. Man, The 90s were awesome. How bad hacking was in movies. Hacked mixer and a turntable plugged straight into the streetlight. Okay, breakbeats got break dancers breaking bones, breaking out every time they play. So this is the soaring fact about the fact that hip hop itself, this art that is being made right here, comes from essentially hacking technology. Comes from breaking music and taking samples and making them into new things. Like hip hop itself is cyberpunk. God, that's cringe, but I also gave myself goosebumps because I think that's the point. And it's cheesy as hell, but it's also true that like we don't think about it because we think of cyberpunk as being, white dudes with mirror shades. But really, hip hop is based on technology and using technology and bending technology to your will and having the interface between humans and technology bend more towards the human, but always using the technology. It's awesome. And then at the same time, it's talking about the current state that we live in. Trickle down monopoly money is just a game. Made a revolution playing with model trains, because all the robber magnates with the train system and monopoly money, trickle down economics doesn't work. That was the idea. This is how I teach it, by the way. I have to teach it because I teach a class on hip hop, and I'm teaching about the crack epidemic right now. I'm teaching about the Reagan era, and I say, let's pretend I have $100,000 and I have 30 students. I'm going to give these 2 students $99,000, and I'm going to give the rest of you $1,000. But don't worry, they're going to pay you to do stuff for them. All the money will trickle out, right? It just doesn't work, and that's part of this. The trickle-down economics is what led to the wealth gap. And it was Ronald Reagan's fault, but Clinton didn't do shit about it. So, okay, it's Biden didn't do shit about it. Obama didn't do shit. No one does anything about it. Everyone loves the wealth gap. Everyone loves it. I don't know why, but they do. They want to keep it going. It keeps growing. And part of the reason it keeps growing is because of these technological revolutions. And when it was going in the 80s and the rich kept getting richer and we kept thinking about how great the 80s were and it was just like the 50s and it was so awesome, the people underneath were having it worse and worse and worse and worse. And then the crack epidemic hit them at that same time. That's the truth about the 80s. And like, this is just my class. He's just telling stuff I talked about the class. Ain't no peace in the streets. People fiend for a release from a new cheap cocaine. Contraband, Nicaragua, Iran, and the handshake from the CIA. If you don't know, the government sold weapons illegally so that it could raise money to give to the Contras to fight communism in Nicaragua. It was totally illegal. And a lot of the people who they were supporting would traffic drugs into America. People like Danilo Blandon, who was a known crack dealer, cocaine importer, and the government helped him to evade getting caught. While at the same time that they're facilitating and giving money to the cartels, lady on the TV saying, just say no, like everything will be okay. The president's wife said, just say no. So there it is. There's everything all together. It's all together. It's like the dystopia already happened. It was in the 1980s. And the dystopia is happening right now. And sometimes it's technology and sometimes it's crack. But whatever it is, it doesn't trickle down. Everything just gets pushed up. And it's either, and this is a way of imagining it in this kind of techno world. There we go. This was better than the first time I recorded it. Props to my wife. I came upstairs. I was heated. I was so mad. It is so hot in this room. I got all these lights going on. So anyways, I want to show you the dogs because I love my dogs. There's Toby over there. You can't replace him with a computer. And there's Bo. We think he might be cybernetic because he's so powerful. All right then. There's the camera. Wait, where's the camera? Okay, that's right.